Welcome to our second tutorial video on using the Chronometer website. As you remember, in Module 3, you used this site to enter all the foods from your 24-hour recall. In doing so, you created a nutritional data profile for that particular day's intake. In Module 4, which will be the last of 3 assignments in this project, you will be analyzing the data that you received and completing this template that you see right here. This is in Module 4. So today I'm going to review the template and how to complete it. So first of all, we are going to start with the top and read through the directions. You will be using the Chronometer website to obtain information about your nutritional intake based on your 24-hour recall. You will need to determine the percent of your total calories you consumed from saturated fats, which the website does not display. To do this, you will need to do some simple math. See the formula below in sample calculation. Number 1, look for your total number of saturated fat grams, which you see right here in the formula. You multiply this number times 9. The reason you choose 9 is because for every gram of fat, it provides 9 calories. So what we've got to do is convert grams to calories so we can find out what percent of your total calories you consumed from saturated fat. So once you do this, you take the saturated grams times 9, divide by your total calories you consumed that day. As you can see, this example is based on consuming 20 grams of saturated fat and of a total intake of 1,500 calories. So we take 20 times 9, divide by 15, which equals 0.12. Now, to convert it to a percent, as you all know, we will just move the decimal point over 2 spots, which is essentially the same as multiplying times 100. Which gives you a final answer of 12% of these 1,500 calories come from saturated fat. So again, you take the number of grams of fat from saturated fat only, saturated fat grams, times 9, divide by your total calories you consumed that day, multiply that times 100, and that will give you the percent of saturated fat calories. Now in this example, we have an intake of 12%. Please note that the recommended intake of saturated fat is less than or equal to 10% of your intake. So this particular person is consuming a little bit over that 10%. So that would be considered a higher intake or an exceeds the daily target limit of less than 10%. Okay, so this is here for you to review when you go to do that. And remember, you'll refer to your Chronometer website to see what your grams of fat were from the saturated fat. Okay, so let's go down and look at the template. The first column, you will be listing your nutrients. As you can see down here, we've got calories all the way down until vitamin D. All right. So let's go back up. So those will be listed. The first column, what you'll be doing is listing your daily target. What is recommended for you based on your personal profile? So important here is to label all the numbers. If you have a number, you should have a label. There should not be a number without a label just floating there because we don't know what do you mean? Do you mean calories, grams, milligrams, etc.? So here are some examples, and be sure to label all numbers. And there also is a sample of a completed intake template in Module 4. So that's very helpful to look at that and see how the template is completed if you have any questions. So for column number 1, let's just look at this. You are going to do your daily targets. And I'm going to show you the website in a minute to show you where to find these things. But you'll do the daily target for your calories. Okay. Activity level, you can put in what activity you did if you prefer. It's not required, and how many calories you expended. Down here, we're going to go to fat. I want to point out here something to your right here. This is the AMDR, which is the acceptable macronutrient distribution range. It's quite a mouthful there, but we call that the AMDR, and basically that is guidelines for us on what % of our diet should come from each of the macronutrients, including fat, protein, and carbs. So for example, the AMDR for fat is 20 to 35%. So you would put that information right here. So I just gave you answer to this question. Now, on page 21, you will find the AMDR recommendations for adults. So you want to check that and record the information. So like I said, for fat, it would be 20 to 35%. You just put that in there. So that's giving you an idea that 20 to 35% of your total calories should come from fat, no more. Now you don't want to try to reach, the top of that range, because we want to lower our fat intake to lower our risk for heart disease. So not a goal to reach, but something to stay under. The chronometer will tell you what your daily target is. I will show you that. Saturated fat, as I said above, we want it to be less than 10%. And this is where you will include your information you achieved up here. Okay? So that is where you're going to input that information. You're going to write down your number of grams you consumed. All right, so going down in column 1 again, there'll be occasion when I have put in the daily target because it's a little not as easily found as the others. So your daily target is 150 to 300. So if you consumed, let's say 130, you are not going to try to get up to 150, okay? Because cholesterol, we try to keep that under 300, okay? So most of us are going to be in this range or above. So we want to keep track of that. You will write down here the grams you consumed and what percent. Grams and percent of cholesterol consumed of your daily needs. So I will show you where that is in just 1 minute. Okay, so we got the AMDR for protein, your daily target, again your grams consumed of protein, and your percent of your daily value. While we're here, right here is where you check, is that over my daily target? This amount right here, is it under or is it just about right? Okay. So we continue down and you fill out the same information for each one. If you see the green highlight, that's just some additional information for you. So if you were to consume 50 milligrams of iron, that might be a concern. You want to limit it to 45. Okay? So in the minerals and vitamins listed here, we want to try to get up as close as we can on the daily target, except for sodium. We do not want to try to reach 100% of sodium because that we're trying to limit it. So the goal should be to be less than 100% here. When you see this, it should be less than 100. Okay? All right. So let's go back up to column 3. This column is one that I will show you how to access on the chronometer, but you're going to be clicking on a box, a percent box next to each nutrient, and you're going to be actually writing down the foods that you ate that contributed at least 10% or more of your daily value. So I will demonstrate how to find that information in just a few minutes. But that is going to be, you're going to have to write them down and then type them onto your template because it does not allow a copy and paste feature, unfortunately. In column 4, this is where you look. Was I over? Was I under? If you were over, for example, in fat, calories, cholesterol, sodium, you're going to write down here 3 ways that you could improve your intake. And you'll soon see the sample to give you some ideas. But for example, if you were over in calories, you might put in here, avoid Coke, decrease my portion of meat, substitute fruit for my potato chips. Okay? For example, if you were under in fiber, we're trying to get to the 100%, you were under, so you want to add fresh fruit to your breakfast. Choose a whole grain bread instead of white bread. Number 3, eat, instead of white rice, choose brown rice. So 3 examples of specific foods are needed in column 4. If you were just right, if you did not go over, you did not go under, just about right, you can just write okay right here. You do not need to do anything different because we're pretty close, okay? All right, let's say you fell under in fat. Well, again, you're not going to try to get up to that, daily target. So you can just write okay. All right. Again, with sodium, if you are below your daily target, that's great. You're going to put okay here. Okay, so we've gone over the template. Again, the first step is to look at your chronometer, find your saturated fat, how many grams, and calculate your percentage of daily value, or percent of your calories, percent of your calorie intake. How much was that? How much was it from saturated fat? Okay, again, the goal is less than 10%. And as you know, that's because saturated fat increases your LDL, which in turn increases your risk for heart disease. So we really want to avoid foods that are high in saturated fat, which is usually your animal products, cheese, meat, etc. Okay, so again, column 1, nothing you need to do here. Column 2, put in your daily target and make sure you label it. Column 2 is what you actually consumed. This is your recommendation. This is what you actually consumed. Fill out the information. Mark if it's over, under, or just right. Column 3 will be recording what foods you ate that contributed 10% or more to that intake. You will get the information from chronometer, write it down, and then type it here. The food should be listed as well as the percent. Column 4, you're going to be, if you were over or under, you need to say 3 specific ways you are going to improve your intake so that it is closer to your daily target. If you were just about right, you can just write the words okay. Just a small note, vitamin and mineral supplements are not acceptable answers. So you cannot say, I'm just going to take a vitamin D supplement. No, you have to look for foods. And by the way, you're going to find these foods in your textbook, okay? So, for example, for vitamin D, if you're low, you're going to look in chapter 6. If you're low in the minerals, you look in chapter 7, okay? I know for vitamin D, I'll give you a little update. I know that we know that vitamin D you can get from being exposed to the sun. But for this purpose of this assignment, please put a specific food. Do not say spend 10 minutes out in the sun. As again, we're talking about foods here, even though that would be a good way to increase your vitamin D levels, but not for this particular project. That concludes my review of the template. Stay tuned to our 3rd video, which will be how to extract the data from the chronometer that you've created in your nutritional reports and how to find all of this information in the chronometer site. Thank you for your attention, and we'll see you in the next video.